Hi, this is Kelly Ware. I'm the range staff for the Blue Mountain Ranger District, and I am going to talk about the range resources within the Magone Project area. Livestock grazing has been part of the landscape of the Malheur National Forest since the 1860s and remains an integral part of the economy in Grant County. The allotments within the planning area, like many areas in the western United States, have a history of livestock overuse that started in the late 1800s and continued in the mid-1930s. Allotments were historically grazed by domestic livestock with thousands of sheep in the late 1860s until the 1940s. From the 1940s until the present day, domestic livestock grazing in the area has been dominated by cattle. Early grazing was essentially unregulated and resulted in significant impacts, including loss of vegetation and soil erosion. In the mid-1900s, the Forest Service took significant action to regulate livestock numbers and to establish workable grazing seasons and allotments. Improved grazing systems and pasture designs were implemented to accelerate riparian area recovery in the late 1970s and through the 1980s. Allowable use levels were reduced in the 1970s and again in the 1990s with the implementation of the Malheur National Forest Land and Resource Management Plan, which also limited the utilization of shrubs. In the mid to late 1990s, other mitigations associated with the Endangered Species Act and packfish were implemented to further protect riparian areas and associated aquatic species. Throughout the 2000s to present day, additional mitigations, including fencing and water developments to improve the control and distribution of livestock and reductions in allowable use, have occurred. Within the Magone planning area, there are 7 active grazing allotments: John Day, Beech Creek on-off, Round Top, Keeney Meadows, Dixie, Fox, and Long Creek. There are also 2 vacant grazing allotments within the planning area: Herberger on-off and McCullough. On-off allotments have permits issued when a minor portion, usually less than a third of a logical grazing area, is comprised of National Forest System lands. The permit holder does not need to own the off-land portion, nor can they claim these as base property. Vacant allotments are simply those allotments that do not have an active grazing permit. Within the planning area, the Round Top allotment is 90% contained. The McCullough allotment and John Day fall in next, and then Herberger and Beech Creek. Keeney Meadows is a small allotment that only contains 14%. The remaining allotments, Dixie, Fox, and Long Creek, have portions less than 1% and therefore won't be considered within the planning. Grazing is administered through 8 grazing permits. Seasons of use in the planning area generally run from June 1st into mid to late October. The John Day and Round Top allotments are typically managed under a rest rotation grazing strategy. On the John Day allotment, this was made possible over the last 3 to 5 years through the addition of cross-fencing the Ennis and McClellan pastures. This allowed for the creation of upper and lower pastures in each of the Ennis and McClellan pastures. The project area contains approximately 13,500 tons of forage annually. This is dependent upon seasonal conditions, of course. With livestock grazing, we utilize approximately 23 tons of that forage. Livestock graze within the project area at a stocking rate of 77 acres per cow-calf. The district average is 15% higher at 66 acres per cow-calf. Here's a map displaying the project area and its overlap with the allotments. The Round Top allotment is displayed in green, and the John Day allotment displayed in blue. Beech Creek is displayed in the pink in the southwest corner of the project area. The economics of livestock activity within the project area are approximately 3,866 head of cattle. Accounting for replacements and death loss, approximately 1,070 of those animals will be sold, and in sales will generate approximately $1.5 million in revenue based on today's market. According to FEMA, 3.5% of that money is considered before tax profits, approximately $50,000. According to the EPA, for every dollar of cattle sales, there is approximately $5 in additional business generated and related economic output. Using the EPA's evaluation, the livestock that graze within the project area generate an annual economic output of approximately 7.2 million. Rangeland conditions within the project area have varied across the board. This project area does not have an abundance of pre-established condition and trend transects. The few we do have are showing upward trends in both the rangeland and riparian settings. The following two slides give a good representation of conditions from the 70s versus today. In the 1970s, across the board is generally poor to fair conditions in both vegetation and soil stability. In 2014, our preliminary results are showing good to excellent conditions. However, analysis of that data is not yet complete. The picture in the top left is from 1970 showing poor conditions. You can also see that there's a lot of forb component and woody debris. The bottom right corner is from July, and you can see that there's an abundance of grasses. And the next slide will show closer up of the same transect. You can note that there is some sedge and rush component in the bottom right corner from 2014, indicating that the site has indeed become wetter. Riparian conditions collected at PIBO transects, and PIBO is Packfish Infish Biological Opinion Monitoring Team. They've collected data in 2001, 2006, and 2011. Their data shows improvement in width-to-depth ratios, which is directly related to livestock use. The East Fork Beach Creek has a width-to-depth ratio that's went from 29.1 to 18.5. Beach Creek, which is outside of the project area but still has the same grazing management, has went from 23.7 to 10.9 in 2011. There are 52 existing water developments within the planning area. 28 are stock ponds, 19 are troughs, 4 we were unable to locate, and there is 1 drinking water spring also within the planning area. This map displays the location of the current ponds and troughs and those points that we were unable to locate that are showing on our existing maps. One thing to point out on this map is the distribution of existing water developments. Throughout the Round Top allotment, it's pretty consistent, real good. In the John Day allotment, however, there is a lot of lacking developments that we'll be trying to fill in some holes there. We've identified 10 springs for potential development, removal of 1 pond, cleaning of 6. The remaining ponds in the project area were cleaned in 2012 and will not need maintenance for a few more years. We're looking to relocate 1 water trough and maintain 13 of the existing water troughs. This map displays those locations for potential water development. As you can see on this map, we've tried to fill in some of the gaps in the John Day allotment. We're still missing a few that we'll continue to try and evaluate other possible water development locations. Thank you.